Right, Frank's butt and I, oh look. Frank's butt and I listened to the hearing. I had it in my ear while I was doing other work. It was a pretty boring, typical discovery hearing. It's like the really non-glamorous part of litigation, which is frankly most of it, is arguing with people over scope of dates of emails and what you will and won't agree to and extraction from computers. It's really boring. And it was very typical in that regard. The judge, this is the second hearing I've heard the judge. This is a very good judge. He is prepared. And not just like, oh, I generally know what this case is about. Like, he has read it. He was able to say, like, hey, I want somebody to tell me about the difference between the language in request number 4 and request number 7. Like, he had read it. He had really paid attention to it. And for a federal judge, you would hope that they would have a higher level of practice. But I can tell you, I've stood in front of many judges, most of whom were state court judges, but some federal. And you walk into a hearing and they go, what case is this? Who are you? What are we doing here? They don't even know. So he's very diligent and thoughtful. He pretty much said at the beginning, so Lively's lawyers got to go first because it was their motion, the motion to compel this information. And he said, here's what I want you to focus on. I really like it when judges do that because otherwise you're just running your mouth and you have no idea if they're listening. So he said, here's what I'm really hoping you'll tell me. Lively's lawyer tried to answer those questions. I thought she did a lovely job. Her lawyers are good. I've heard 2, Meryl Gravinsky, and this was Kristen Bender. They're very good lawyers. She made very good arguments. And she could tell by the questions he asked at the beginning that he was inclined to grant at least part of the motion to compel, which he did. Then the third party's lawyer came on, and, he didn't defend. It was not substantive on tag or the campaign or any of that stuff because that's not his job. His job is to represent these individual people. And so he was like, I know there's these emails in the complaint. Remember the ones that I did in a couple of videos back. And he's like, they're just CC'd on those. Those are not emails to them or from them. Those are just emails they're on to try to pull back on their relevance to the case. And Lyman kind of, he split the baby a little bit, but he probably split it more in Lively's favor. This judge seems to favor broader discovery, which is actually good. You want more information to be out there. It's better to have it all than to not. I mean, sometimes you go to get information that you think is really great for your case and it ends up hurting your case. It's better to have it all and know. So he did rule that Lively has to pay for some of the work in getting this data because there's a lot of extraction and electronic records and it can be very time consuming and frankly very expensive. So Lively does have to pay for some of that. Now I'm sure there's going to be some misinformation out there because depositions were mentioned. They were talking about when do they have to turn this stuff over? What's the date of compliance? And Lively's people said, well, we'd really love to have it by, very last date, end of day on July 7th, because we have a deposition on July 8th. And then they mentioned another deposition later in July. They didn't say who of, but if these records are part of it, I'm guessing it's somebody on the Wayfarer side. It's Abel or Nathan or Wallace or whatever. There are probably depositions stacked up through most of July because discovery is over in August. And this is a huge case with a lot of witnesses. I've already seen people saying, Lively's deposition didn't happen yesterday. It's happening on July 8th. That's not what they said. They said there's some depositions on July 8th and there's some depositions on. Lively wouldn't be asked about this stuff. She doesn't have any personal knowledge of emails within tag. So don't listen to that. But it sounds like discovery is ongoing, just like we thought it was. So it was kind of a boring procedural hearing, but again, the lawyering is pretty good. The judicial action is good. And, I'm interested to see what this stuff is. I'm interested to see how much chatter there was inside of TAG about this and amongst who and what did they say. So even though it gets turned over on July 7th, that doesn't mean we get to see it on July 7th. Just like we don't know if there's a deposition going on right this minute because that stuff doesn't get filed. So I'll let you know if I know something, but if you hear things about the hearing and you're not sure if they're true, because that's where we are at this point. Just put them in the comments and I'll try to answer them for you.